Good morning. It's Thursday, January 30th. And once again, I have to talk about Trump's actions. I tried to avoid it, but there are things that we must recognize before we go crazy. And so here's the situation that involves DEI, which is the premise that hiring in the United States maintains now. The D stands for diversity, and E stands for equity, and I stands for inclusion. So those are the criteria that most businesses use when they hire people to do jobs. Doesn't have to be an important job, it just has to be the ability to make sure that that person has the qualifications to do the job. Now, the Trump administration wants to switch over to something that they're calling meritocracy. A trip with your family. Who would you rather have in charge of highway safety? Somebody with an education who has passed a test and is qualified to run the highway system? Or somebody who helped President Trump sell his famous Trump steaks? Eliminating qualifications for a job is a serious mistake. And what about the air traffic controller who's supposed to make sure your family arrives safely at grandma's house? Would you feel comfortable knowing that they hold that position because they dutifully breached the Capitol on January 6th and Trump was pleased with their actions and so that's how they got the job? I don't think that's what we're looking for here. Meritocracy is open to too many loopholes. Who has the final say in the qualification of somebody under a system of meritocracy? Because what I think a person is worth and what you think a person is worth can be entirely different. And the only way to judge that is on their experience and their education. Not whether they know how to comb their hair or not that they come dressed properly every day. Those things don't count when you are hiring people for responsible jobs. And I'm telling you, any job that anybody has a responsible job. And the person with the qualifications should be doing those jobs. And it shouldn't be some manufactured meritocracy. If in the future our president is allowed in his hostility toward the federal workforce to determine the ending of civil service. On his first day, he moved to reinstate a plan that he originally issued in October 2020. Schedule F to end job protections for thousands of federal workers. Now, why would you want to end the job protection for those people? If you have a system in place where those people are qualified and they have to adhere to a set of working standards, then you need a punishment that accommodates that system. You can't have people doing jobs without oversight, and you can't allow them to get those jobs without qualification. Now, when I graduated from college, which took me a long time, I was an old man. I was 30 at that point, and when I went job hunting, the companies that I was trying to, which were accounting firms, they wanted young people who were single and they could pay them bupkis. So I ended up having to take a civil service exam to get a decent job, and I passed that exam, and I got a decent job that was paying more than the accounting firms were. But that experience allowed me to recognize the fact that it wasn't easy to get a job in the civil service world if you wanted to have some kind of qualifications to do that job. And some of those exams were difficult, but I managed to pass. And then I went on and took some classes and was able to switch jobs and make a good living. So I know something about taking civil service exams. And what Trump wants to do is replace the existing civil service exam system, which is based on meritocracy, with a kind of spoiled system that turns civil service into a sewer. Not only will we end up with unqualified people in charge of highways and airways, but a host of other patronage appointments too. We would have Justice Department attorneys picked because they can't wait to prosecute Trump's enemy. Defense Department employees who won't blow the whistle if the secretary is drunk at work. Is that the kind of government job situation that we want to enter into? But that's what will happen if Trump gets his way. Are we really prepared to be a nation where a federal employee can be fired if someone at the White House reviews a tape of the president's last speech and notices that you didn't clap hard enough? We can't afford to turn into North Korea, where officials keep track of who cheers at Kim Jong-un's events and where, if you are a defector, where if you don't clap hard enough, you could be killed. So maybe that's a very extreme example, but you get the general idea. Meritocracy is not what we need in this country. We need to stick with what we've got. It's been working for centuries and it should continue to be that way. And we don't need a dictator telling us how to do this and who to hire and how to go about hiring them, because his view of the world is not a view of a sane leader. So I leave it with that. Disgusted with the situation that we are faced with for the next 1,400 or so days. That's a number that magnifies the 4-year period. Take care. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you.